The hall of the Court of Stars was silent. Not the soft silence of peace, but a heavy silence that made the air feel cold and sharp. Thousands of alien eyes were fixed on one man. He sat alone on a simple metal chair, far below the great platforms where the galaxy's rulers watched. Above him floated giant star maps, glowing in silver and gold, showing countless worlds and fleets. Every alien leader in the room was powerful, feared across the stars. And yet, they were staring at him. A single human. Captain Elias Gray did not look afraid. He sat casually, one leg crossed over the other, a small glass of amber liquid in his hand. The drink swirled slowly as he lifted it to his lips. He took a sip, calm and steady, like a man sitting in a quiet bar, not a prisoner standing before the most dangerous court in the galaxy. At the center of the highest platform stood the High Arbiter. It was a towering alien figure, its skin like dark stone, its eyes glowing like twin stars. When it spoke, its voice was deep and powerful, echoing through the hall like a storm. "Human," the Arbiter thundered, "you stand accused of violating the ancient laws of this galaxy. You have trespassed into forbidden space. You have attacked agents of the court. You have brought chaos where there should be order." Elias tilted his head slightly, his face unreadable. He didn't rise. He didn't bow. He just sat there, silent, the glass still in his hand. The High Arbiter's voice grew colder. "Kneel before this court," it commanded. "Kneel, and perhaps your life will be spared." Every alien in the chamber leaned forward, waiting. The moment stretched long and tense. For a heartbeat, it seemed the human might obey. Then Elias slowly took another sip of his drink and said, his voice calm and almost casual, "No." The word echoed in the hall like a gunshot. Gasps and angry shouts broke out among the alien leaders. Some slammed their fists on their platforms. Others hissed or growled in their own languages. No one had ever refused the court like this. The High Arbiter's eyes burned brighter. "You dare defy us?" it roared. Elias finally stood, moving with deliberate slowness. He was tall for a human, but compared to many of the alien species around him, he seemed small and fragile. Still, there was something about the way he held himself, calm, steady, unshaken, that made even the fiercest creatures pause. "I dare," Elias said simply, "because I know something you don't." The room fell quiet again, confused and angry. The Arbiter narrowed its eyes. "Explain yourself, human." Elias didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned slightly, looking up at the floating star maps above him. They shimmered, showing the endless galaxy, countless points of light, each a star, each with worlds circling it. His gaze lingered on one particular cluster of stars near the edge of the map. Then he looked back at the court. "You think you've brought me here to stand trial," Elias said, his tone calm but sharp. "You think I stumbled into your territory by accident." He took a step closer, his boots echoing on the smooth metal floor. "But that's not what happened." The aliens shifted uneasily, whispering to each other. The High Arbiter slammed a massive hand down, silencing them. "Then speak," it commanded. Elias's eyes glinted, cold and dangerous. "A few days ago," he began, "my crew and I were traveling through the Whispering Void. It's a dark region of space, empty, uncharted, full of strange signals and dead ships." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Out there, we picked up a distress call. It was weak, broken, and fading. We thought someone needed help." He gave a bitter smile. "So we went to help. That was our mistake." The hall was silent as he continued. "When we arrived, there was no one to save. Just a trap, a group of armed ships waiting for us. They attacked without warning. We fought back, but my ship was outnumbered. My crew was scattered, captured, or killed." His voice hardened. "And then you appeared." A ripple of confusion passed through the alien leaders. The High Arbiter frowned. "Our agents intercepted you because you broke our laws," it said firmly. "You were in forbidden space." Elias let out a sharp laugh, humorless, cold. No. You didn't intercept me. You were waiting for me. Someone wanted me to be here. The aliens murmured angrily, but there was uncertainty now, too. Elias stepped closer, lowering his voice, forcing the leaders to lean in to hear. You think you control this galaxy. You think your court is untouchable. He shook his head slowly. You have no idea what's coming. The High Arbiter's eyes narrowed to burning slits. Empty words, it growled. Your defiance only seals your fate. Elias stared back, unblinking. Then he lifted his glass one last time, took a slow sip, and said, We'll see. The Arbiter raised its arm high, ready to give the command for execution. But before the order could be spoken, the star maps above them flickered, once, twice, then shifted to show a dark, growing shape moving across the galaxy. The court gasped. Even the High Arbiter hesitated. Elias set down his empty glass and smiled, a dangerous, knowing smile. Looks like you're about to find out what I meant. The star maps above the court flickered wildly, casting strange shadows across the hall. A dark shape spread across the galaxy's edge like an approaching storm. The alien leaders stared in shock and fear. The High Arbiter's booming voice broke the silence. What is this? It demanded. Its glowing eyes scanned the maps, burning brighter with anger and confusion. No one answered. Even the most powerful species in the galaxy looked uncertain. Whispers echoed through the chamber as alien translators struggled to keep up with dozens of panicked voices. Elias stood calmly in the center of it all, arms crossed. The corner of his mouth curved into a small, knowing smile. I told you, he said quietly. You have no idea what's coming. The High Arbiter turned its glare toward him. Human, it roared. Speak plainly. What is this fleet? What have you brought here? Elias raised an eyebrow. Brought here, he repeated, his tone sharp. You think I control that? He pointed to the growing darkness on the map. That fleet isn't mine. It belongs to something far worse than you or me. The court erupted into chaos. Some aliens shouted for immediate war preparations. Others demanded Elias's execution before the threat grew any closer. The voices clashed like blades in the air. The Arbiter slammed its massive hand down, and the hall fell silent once more. Order! It bellowed. The stone-like creature leaned forward, its glowing eyes fixed on Elias. Tell us everything. Now. Elias didn't move. Instead, he spoke slowly, deliberately, letting every word sink in. Long ago, he said, before humans ever traveled the stars, there was an empire, a cruel, ancient power. They believed in absolute control. Every world they touched, they enslaved or destroyed. They vanished centuries ago, or so everyone believed. The star maps shifted again, the darkness spreading further. They didn't vanish, Elias continued. They went into hiding. They rebuilt. And now they've returned, stronger, smarter, and ready to strike. The High Arbiter narrowed its glowing eyes. And why, it asked coldly, would they target us now? Elias's voice hardened. Because they don't just want control of the galaxy. They want to destroy anyone who could resist them. And that includes your court. He paused. Humanity has faced them before, in secret battles you never saw. We fought them and survived. That's why they hate us most of all. A heavy silence filled the hall. The alien rulers exchanged uneasy glances. Some still looked skeptical, others deeply afraid. The Arbiter's voice was sharp. If what you say is true, human, then why come here? Why trespass in our territory? Elias clenched his fists at his sides. I didn't trespass, he said firmly. I followed a distress signal. I thought someone needed help. But it was a trap, not set by you, but by them. They wanted me here, standing in this exact spot, while my people are left vulnerable. Realization rippled through the court. The alien rulers whispered among themselves. It was clear some of them were beginning to understand. The High Arbiter slammed its hand down again. "Enough of this," it thundered. "You are still guilty of defying this court. You will answer for your crimes." Elias's jaw tightened, but his voice remained calm. "I won't kneel to you," he said quietly. "Not while the real enemy is out there, closing in." The Arbiter gestured to the guards. "Take him. We will tear the truth from his mind if he will not give it willingly." Two towering alien guards moved toward Elias, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Elias stood perfectly still as they approached. When they grabbed his arms, he didn't fight. He only smiled, a dangerous, quiet smile that made even the guards hesitate for a moment. They dragged him to a side chamber. It was small, dark, and filled with strange alien machines. Floating orbs of light hovered in the air, casting cold shadows on the walls. At the center stood a tall, curved device like a chair made of bone and metal. "This will strip away your lies," one of the guards hissed in a harsh, clicking voice. Elias let them push him into the device without resistance. As the machine powered on, a deep hum filled the room. Blades of light scanned across his body, probing his mind. But Elias didn't scream. He didn't even flinch. The aliens watched, confused, as the machine's readings began to spike. The patterns were strange, unstable, almost like the human was fighting back. The guards snarled. "Impossible! No one can resist this." Elias opened his eyes, calm and steady. "You've never met a human before," he said coldly. Then the machine overloaded with a sharp crack, sending sparks flying. The lights in the room flickered and died. The guards stumbled back in shock. Elias rose slowly from the smoking wreckage of the device. "I told you," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You don't understand what's coming." At that moment, alarms blared throughout the court. A robotic voice echoed in multiple alien languages. "Warning! Outer defense perimeter breached. Enemy ships inbound." The guards froze, panic flashing across their strange faces. Elias smirked. "Looks like the party's started." Back in the main hall, the star maps flared bright red as dozens of dark shapes appeared, enemy warships dropping out of hyperspace. Alien rulers shouted in fear and rage. The High Arbiter stared at the map, stunned. Elias stepped into the hall, free of his captors. His voice carried over the chaos. "You wanted me to kneel," he said, his tone sharp and commanding. "Now you'll wish you'd listened instead." The first explosions rocked the station, shaking the court to its core. The Court of Stars shook violently as another explosion tore through its outer walls. Alarms screamed in a dozen alien languages. Red warning lights flashed, bathing the grand hall in a bloody glow. Panic erupted. Alien rulers shouted and scrambled, their voices blending into a storm of fear. Guards rushed to defensive positions, their weapons glowing bright. The High Arbiter roared for order, but even its powerful voice was almost lost in the chaos. Elias Gray stood in the center of the hall, calm amid the storm. While others panicked, he scanned the star maps above, watching the dark fleet swarm around the court's position like a predator closing its jaws. He spoke loudly, his voice cutting through the noise. "They're not here to take prisoners," he said. "They're here to wipe you out." The High Arbiter turned, its glowing eyes blazing with fury. "This is your doing, human," it thundered. "You brought them here." Elias shook his head sharply. "No. I warned you, but you didn't listen." He pointed to the maps. "See how they move. They're not attacking randomly. They're cutting off escape routes. They came to destroy this court, and anyone who might unite against them." As if to prove his words, a section of the map flashed red. A massive enemy warship appeared, dwarfing the court's own defenses. The alien rulers froze, realizing the danger too late. Suddenly, a blast tore through one of the great walls. A violent rush of air and fire filled the hall as alien guards were hurled across the floor. From the smoke and flame, they appeared, black armored soldiers with glowing red visors, moving like shadows given life. The Dark Fleet's warriors. Their weapons hissed and cracked, firing beams of dark energy that cut through alien guards like paper. Screams filled the chamber as rulers dove for cover. The High Arbiter roared, summoning more defenders. Protect the court. Kill the invaders. But Elias didn't hide. He moved forward, toward the attackers. As one warrior aimed at him, Elias dropped low and rolled behind a fallen piece of debris. With swift precision, he yanked a small metallic device from his belt, one the aliens hadn't noticed during his capture. He pressed a button. A sharp pulse of blue light flashed, and the nearest enemy soldier collapsed, his weapon sparking uselessly. Elias rose smoothly, grabbed the fallen weapon, and fired back with deadly accuracy. Each shot struck true. The dark-armored soldiers fell one by one. The alien rulers stared in shock. A single human was fighting better than their elite guards. The High Arbiter shouted over the noise, its voice raw. "Why would you save us, human? You are our prisoner." Elias ducked behind cover as another blast rocked the hall. "Because if you die," he called back, "the galaxy falls with you." Two more soldiers rushed him. Elias spun, blasting one, then slammed his elbow into the other's throat, dropping him to the ground. Breathing hard, he turned toward the Arbiter. "You thought humanity was weak," Elias said, his voice sharp and cutting. "You've looked down on us since we first came to the stars. But humans know how to fight wars you can't even imagine." The High Arbiter stared at him, stunned. Slowly, it realized Elias wasn't just another prisoner. He was a survivor of battles no other species had faced. A deep, cold laugh echoed through the hall. A giant hologram flickered to life above the battlefield, towering over everyone. The figure that appeared was tall and armored in obsidian black, its face hidden behind a cruel, spiked mask. Its voice was like ice and fire combined. "So," it said, "the famous Elias Gray stands before me. You should have stayed in hiding, human." The hall fell silent. Even the alien rulers held their breath. Elias's jaw tightened. "You," he said, his voice dripping with venom. "You're the one who set this up. The false distress call. The trap. Everything." The hologram tilted its head slightly, mocking him. "Correct. I needed you here, far from your species. Your people are stubborn, hard to crush. But without their leader, they will fall." Elias took a step forward, his weapon steady. "Humanity doesn't have leaders like you think," he said. "We don't kneel to tyrants. Every one of us knows how to fight." The masked figure chuckled darkly. "Brave words for a doomed man. Soon, this court will burn. Then your fragile species will follow." Elias's eyes blazed with defiance. "You've made one mistake," he said. The hologram leaned closer. "And what is that?" Elias smirked, a dangerous, razor-sharp smile. "You came here thinking I was trapped. But I never fight alone." As if on cue, a deep rumble shook the hall. From the shattered roof above, a small but powerful human ship descended through the smoke. His crew had arrived. Its side doors burst open, and Elias's surviving crew members jumped into the fray, weapons ready. The dark soldiers turned, momentarily caught off guard. In seconds, they were cut down by precise human fire. The alien rulers stared in disbelief as humans and a few alien guards fought side by side. Elias shouted to the court, "If you want to live, fight with us. This is the only chance you'll get." Some rulers hesitated. Others grabbed weapons and joined the battle, their survival instincts finally overcoming their pride. The hologram of the masked leader flared bright red with fury. "You dare defy me?" Elias aimed his weapon at the hologram and fired, shattering it into static. Then he turned to his crew, his voice commanding and fierce. "Form a line. Hold this chamber." To the Arbiter, he added, "Get your people organized. If this place falls, your entire empire goes with it." The Arbiter hesitated, then nodded slowly, recognizing Elias's strength. But before they could speak further, a deep, cold voice boomed across the comms. The masked leader again, speaking directly to Elias. "Kneel, human," the voice hissed. "Kneel before me, and I will let your crew live. Defy me, and I will burn every human world to ash." The hall went silent. Elias didn't flinch. He didn't bow. Instead, he slowly straightened, his gaze fierce and unyielding. "Come and try," he said. The battle raged on, the Dark Fleet's soldiers pressing harder against the defenders. The court trembled on the edge of destruction. The Court of Stars was burning. Smoke filled the massive hall as enemy soldiers poured in through shattered walls. Alarms screamed, drowning out the roars of alien leaders and the cries of the wounded. The star maps above flickered wildly, showing more enemy ships arriving by the second. Elias Gray stood in the middle of the chaos, his face streaked with dirt and sweat, but his eyes sharp and steady. His crew fought fiercely at his side, covering him as they pushed toward the heart of the court. The High Arbiter, wounded but unbroken, stood nearby, directing alien defenders. For the first time, Elias saw fear in the creature's glowing eyes, fear that this was truly the end. "Fall back to the inner ring," one alien shouted. "No," Elias barked, his voice cutting through the noise. "If you fall back, they'll surround us. Hold the line here." He pointed to the shattered entrance where enemy soldiers kept pouring in. "Force them into a choke point. Make them fight for every step." The Arbiter hesitated. "You would command us," it growled. Elias met its gaze without flinching. "You want to survive? Then listen to me." For a moment, the alien ruler simply stared. Then it gave a short, sharp nod and relayed Elias's orders to its troops. Slowly, the chaos began to turn into something resembling a defense. Together, humans and aliens fought side by side. Blasts of blue and red light filled the air. The ground shook under the weight of battle. But even with their combined strength, the enemy kept coming. The Dark Fleet soldiers moved with terrifying precision, never retreating, never hesitating. Suddenly, a massive hologram flared to life in the center of the hall. The masked leader of the Dark Fleet appeared, towering above them all. Its cold, mechanical voice boomed over the battlefield. "You fight well, little human," it said, almost amused. "But this is meaningless. Your species will kneel, or it will burn." Elias raised his weapon and shouted back, his voice filled with defiance. "Humanity doesn't kneel to tyrants. Not now, not ever." The masked figure tilted its head. "Very well," it said coldly. "Then watch your allies die." With a gesture, the hologram vanished, and the wall behind Elias exploded inward. From the smoke emerged the leader itself, no longer just a hologram but a towering figure of black armor and glowing red blades. Its presence was overwhelming, like a living nightmare. The battlefield froze for a heartbeat. Then, with a roar, the enemy leader charged straight at Elias. The final duel. Elias met the attack head-on. Their weapons clashed, sending sparks flying. Each strike from the masked leader was powerful enough to crush metal, but Elias moved with speed and precision, dodging and countering. The fight was brutal and close. Around them, humans and aliens battled desperately, but no one dared intervene. This was more than a duel, it was a symbol of the galaxy's future. "You are nothing," the enemy leader hissed as their blades locked together. "Your kind will be erased." Elias gritted his teeth, muscles straining. "That's the thing about humans," he said through clenched teeth. "We don't break that easily." With a sudden twist, Elias disarmed his opponent, knocking one of the glowing blades aside. He slammed his shoulder into the leader, forcing it back. But the enemy was far from finished. It lunged again, knocking Elias to the ground. The blade hovered inches from his chest. For a moment, it seemed Elias would fall. Then a loud voice rang out, the High Arbiter, roaring from across the hall. "Human, rise." The word cut through the haze. Elias's eyes blazed with fury. With a surge of strength, He caught the enemy's blade in his bare hands. The skin burned, but he didn't let go. Humanity doesn't kneel, Elias shouted. He twisted the weapon free, then drove it upward into the enemy leader's chest. The creature froze, a soundless scream echoing in the hall, before collapsing in a burst of dark energy. The room went silent. The remaining Dark Fleet soldiers faltered, then broke and fled. Their warships outside scattered, retreating into the void. The battle was over. Aftermath. Smoke and debris filled the ruined hall. Alien rulers emerged slowly from hiding, their faces stunned. The High Arbiter limped forward, its glowing eyes locked on Elias. The human captain stood among the wreckage, breathing heavily, his hands scorched and bloody. His crew gathered around him, weary but alive. "You saved us," the Arbiter said, its voice quieter now. "Without you, the court would have fallen." Elias gave a small, tired smile. "I didn't save you," he said. "We saved each other." The Arbiter studied him for a long moment. Then, to the shock of every alien present, it slowly sank to one knee. "You refused to kneel before us," it said, its deep voice solemn. "But today, we kneel to you, and to humanity." One by one, the alien rulers followed, bowing their heads. Elias looked around at the kneeling crowd. He didn't seem triumphant, just thoughtful, and a little sad. Finally, he walked to a broken chair, sat down, and reached for a small flask at his belt. He took a slow sip, just as he had at the very start. "Next time," Elias said quietly, "maybe just ask nicely." The Arbiter raised its head. "Captain Elias Gray," it said, "from this day forward, humanity will no longer stand alone." Above them, the star maps flickered one last time. The darkness was gone. For now, at least, the galaxy had been saved. Elias glanced at his crew, then at the stars. "Good," he murmured. "Because this was only the beginning." The camera would pull back, showing the ruined court surrounded by the vastness of space. The stars glittered like silent witnesses to a fragile new peace. Fade to black. The end.